Well, good afternoon. Welcome to PortGen 2021. This is the final networking event for the Goods and Services track. And today we are privileged to have Mr. Mian Rice here from the Port of Seattle. And he'll do the opening remarks. But before we welcome him, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping and remind everybody to edit your image, with your name and your company on there. And then, and as we move through today's activities, we have a number of presenters. And then after the presenters, or during the presenters portion, we will be feeding information to you via the chat. And that'll be regarding any links or anything that they have to share with you. So with that, I think we are good to go. We are recorded, and I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Mian Rice from the Port of Seattle. Welcome, Mian.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you who actually who've signed on today. And I know that there will be some future recordings of a lot of these events, but thank you for coming to this wonderful last session of the Goods and Service portion. And I really have to also, I want to make sure I say a big thank you before I even begin here to Leslie and to Margie, Aisha, very helpful in terms of putting this program together. It takes a village. It takes a village to be supporting all you wonderful small disadvantaged businesses out there that really want to work forward to a future better life, as well as for your livelihoods. And it's truly an honor that you would be part of today's event as well. And I would hope that you look to the Port of Seattle as an opportunity for doing business with us. This is something in which we do millions of dollars of work on an annual basis, from consulting, construction, and goods and services, which we are today. And I want you business to be a part of that. And you have these wonderful resources that you're going to be hearing about today from a lot of these folks that will be presenting. A little networking is going to be a part of this. And I can't gratitude that I have for not just you as a small business, but also for a lot of the folks out here from PTAC to USDOT, Small Business Transportation Resource Center, and others. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful community that we're all in, and we're all in this together. So your success is our success. And so with that, I'm not going to speak forever, but I wanted to say a big thank you to all of you. I'm turning it back to Leslie. Leslie, all yours.
Well, thank you, Mian. We have been very privileged to work with the Port of Seattle and the Small Business Transportation Resource Center. And Washington PTAC is a great partner if you have an agency or institution and you need a little more connection in regards to small businesses and certifications or registration help. Look to us and we can give you a hand. So we'll go ahead and get started right away. Our next presenter this afternoon is Maggie Dalzell, and she is from MRSC Rosters. And I've been doing PTAC for a long time now. And the number one response that I get from my clients after they have been educated and informed about MRSC Rosters is that, it truly is the best kept secret around. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Maggie, and she'll let you in on the secret. Welcome, Maggie.
Thank you, Leslie. Go ahead and share my screen here. Hello, good afternoon. Thank you all for having me here today. My name is Maggie Dalzell. I am the Rosters Program Coordinator here at the Municipal Research and Services Center. I've been in this role just since April, so I'm still learning and growing. I'd love to connect with you, hear from you, any comments, suggestions, and I am here to help with anything rosters related, so please don't hesitate to reach out. Today we'll just cover what is MRSC Rosters, how MRSC Rosters works, how businesses can sign up for MRSC Rosters, and then we'll have a brief time for Q&A at the end. So MRSC Rosters provides a membership roster service for eligible Washington state public agencies. This service is specific to the roster contracting process. So opportunities that come through MRSC Rosters are not advertised, unlike with a full bid process. There are over 600 cities, counties, special purpose districts such as fire districts and school districts across the state that use MRSC roster service to connect with businesses. And there are new agencies that join every year. Right now, we have 634 public agencies that use MRSC rosters. And if you want to check out an entire list, if you go to our website, you can go, you'll see that there's a list of all of the public agencies and in which county they are located. And again, the agencies that use MRSC rosters will contact your business directly, and they will reach out with project opportunities when they use a roster contracting process specifically. So again, there's no jobs listed on MRSC rosters, and these jobs are not posted anywhere else. So let's talk about how public agencies use MRSC rosters. When a public agency is using a roster contracting process, they will log into their account and they will select the type of roster to search based on the type of project that they're doing. So there's the small works roster, the consultant roster, and the vendor roster. The small works roster is for construction related services. The consultant roster is for things like architecture and engineering, although there are more categories in there as well. And then the vendor roster is for suppliers. So they will log in, they will select the type of service, for example, paving, and then it will generate a roster of all the businesses that have said that they provide paving and have selected that public agency. And then the public agency will reach out to that list directly about the job. Here's a quick overview of what that looks like. In this case, I guess they are searching for architectural design. And then they hit search business. So again, public agencies will contact you directly by email. It's the email that you put in your application. Once you're contacted, you'll work directly with that public agency as they follow up with their bidding and contracting procedures. So let's learn how to register. It's a pretty quick, simple process. You log on to mrscrosters.org and you click Join MRSC Rosters and do the business sign up. You'll fill out your application. And then once you've submitted it, we do a quick review. We check Department of Revenue and L&I just to make sure you know, you're not barred and all of your certifications are still active and licenses, things like that. And then once a year, we'll send you an email reminding you to renew. And after that, just sit back and businesses or public agencies will come reach out to you directly. So in the application, you will be able to list your certifications, your licenses, bonding. You'll be able to name which folks you would like to be your contact people for the roster contracting process that you'd like public agencies to reach out to. And then you'll also be able to select the public agencies you would like to be on, and then also select the types of services that you provide. For the small works and the vendor roster, you can select up to 9 public agencies for free. Otherwise, it's $75 for the year to be listed on as many of the public agencies as you would like. Again, right now there's 634. If you select to be on all of Thurston County's public agencies, for example, whenever a new public agency joins Thurston County, you'll automatically be added to their roster as well. The consultant roster, has always been on its own schedule, own fee-based scale, and there's not currently a free version, but I would like to make it very, very clear that if the consultant roster scale is not doable for you, if you've got any issues with that, please reach out to me, and I have been given unilateral authority to do whatever. So I will do whatever I can to get you listed on the rosters. We don't want money to be any kind of barrier to being listed on any of these rosters. Okay, thank you. And if you have any questions, now's a great time to ask.
Maggie, this is Marnie, and I just want to say thank you for that offer to help get people registered on the roster if money is an issue. I've run into that several times, especially with the young companies. Do you also assist people if they get stuck in the registration process? I've had a few clients who, I don't know how to answer this question, things like that. So are you available to help with that as well?
Definitely, yeah. I have definitely sat on the phone and walked people through every single step, and I'm more than happy to do that. And also, I know there's the statement of qualification section, which sometimes people get hung up on, and I know that PTAC can also help craft one of those as well for businesses if they don't have one. But yeah, I'm happy to walk folks through any and all steps in the application process.
Wonderful.
Maggie, this is Tina Boyd from the Port of Seattle. I have a couple questions. Is there a cost for the public agency to join the roster?
Yep, they have an annual fee. It's based on their 5-year average of their capital expenditures.
Okay.
So yes, there is an annual fee for the public agencies as well.
And how long has this roster been in existence?
About 10 years.
Oh, okay. Do you have the major public agencies, you know, locally, like King County, City of Seattle, those agencies currently listed?
City of Seattle is not one of our agencies. You can check out, I'll drop the link in the chat that will list, you can check out all the public agencies that are there, but we do have some of the major public agencies. City of Seattle is not one of them though. Well, I'll drop that in the link in the chat for you.
Okay, so basically, myself as a public agency, this is an additional roster for me to just list my opportunities or for me to find businesses?
An opportunity for you to find businesses. But if you are on MRSC, if you use MRSC rosters, you cannot also use your own roster.
I cannot use my own roster? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so you need to either use the MRSC rosters or use your own roster.
Okay, because I was going to say, businesses, would the same businesses be on your roster, be on my roster?
Yeah, okay. They would just sign up for your roster, and then they could also sign up for the MRSC roster as well.
Okay, okay, yeah. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So Maggie, this is Leslie. One of the things that was an eye-opener for my clients was the reality as to the diversity of the agencies. And what I really liked about your website is if I'm looking only in Clallam County, I get the laundry list of everybody in Clallam County, who, you know, the agencies that are part of MRSC rosters. Or, you know, if I'm looking to expand to Spokane County, you know, it's the same thing. You know, water districts, school districts, you know, library districts, fire districts. As a really small business, you know, this may be an opportunity for kind of cutting their teeth on doing government contracting.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it really is, I think, such an asset to have this as, you know, part of the resources for all the small businesses throughout the state. And, you know, I know that our main target here is generally I-5, Puget Sound. But, again, like if you sell, fire equipment and you want to, get into the Tri-Cities area or Northeast Washington or, Vancouver area, that this is a way where you, it all has to come down to market research and, who's buying what you're selling. So anyway, no, it's a terrific resource. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
This is Tina Boyd again. I agree. Everybody has their own roster as far as public agency. And unfortunately, you got to take the time and you got to sign up on them individually. But this MRSC roster is another one, and you want to get yourself on there because it's best to be everywhere. And I can't emphasize that more. So again, thank you, Maggie, for talking to us about this.
You're welcome. I did see a question about graphic design. Could I sign up into the small works roster, or would I need to sign up for the consultants? Likely the consultant roster, but I'm going to drop a link that will, you'll be able to see all the service categories. They're broken down by roster type. And so if graphic design, I think, is under consultant roster, that would mean that you'd want to do the consultant roster. And again, if the consultant roster fee is any barrier, please just reach out. There's no application or anything, just let me know. So I'll drop that link in there so you can check out what the different services are that we currently have for each roster to help you identify which roster is the best fit for you.
Hey Maggie, this is Marnie again. I just wanted to make a comment. What I find is that the 624 agencies that you mentioned that you have across the state, these are the ones that are really hard to find information about. So clients who are looking at honing in on little cities, counties, those unique districts is a great way to build that connection, and for those agencies to build competition for their solicitations. Nothing drives price down better than competition, and it also improves the services that you get. So your MRSC Rosters is one of my to-do lists for every client that I have. At least go try it out, at least go test it out, and see if that's where you want to be. And I've had a lot of clients get some really great work working through that. They do miss the point that they're going to get contacted by the agency. So I've had them contact me and go, is this real? How did they find me? Like, you signed up on MRSC Rosters. So it is a wonderful service, and it's very encouraged to all the small businesses to get on it.
That's great. Yes, we do get that question a lot. How do I find the jobs? That's why I do want to reiterate, they will reach out to you directly, which is great, because then you don't need to go searching for anything. They'll come to you.
So Maggie, I had to step out for a second. I don't know if you covered it, but in regards to the cost for the small businesses, I know that there was historically a free version, and there's a for fee version also. Is that correct?
Yeah. So there is a free version for the vendor and small works roster. There used to be one for the consultant roster. The consultant roster has always had its own different tiered fee schedule. For whatever reason, I wasn't here when that was set up. And to help keep the program going, we've removed the free version for the consultant roster for right now. But again, I do want to reiterate that, like, if the consultant roster, if those fees are not doable for you, please just reach out. I will get you a free version or whatever will work for you. So please don't let that be a barrier. And then for the small works and the vendor rosters, you can select up to 9 public agencies to be listed on for free. And then after that, it's $75 for the year to be listed on more public agencies rosters.
And that's per year?
Per year. Mm-hmm.
So that's like so reasonable. I would think that most small businesses could incorporate that into their annual budget. So worth its weight in gold. Okay, so any other questions? We're happy to take them live, or if you want to put them in the chat or something, we can do that also. So, okay, last call. All right. Well, Maggie, thank you so much for presenting today. It's always a pleasure to be working with MRSC. And, we really hope to keep you on board for all future PTAC, SBTRC, Port Seattle, events and opportunities. So thank you so much, Maggie.
Yes, thank you guys for having me. And again, please reach out with anything. My phone number and email are both on the website.
Okay, thanks, Maggie. And also, all the slideshows today are available in our digital Dropbox, and we'll share that information with you right now. So, and we also have in that Dropbox, we have a plain text version now of the slideshows. So those that are visually impaired can access the plain text version instead of a full PowerPoint or whatever. So anyway, thanks, Maggie. So I guess we'll go ahead and move on a little bit. We have on board Pamela Jordan from the Office of Minority and Women Business Enterprises. And I think Pamela could probably do this presentation in her sleep. So anyway, we'll turn it over to Pamela and let her get started. So thanks, Pamela.
Thank you. I don't know about in my sleep, but I'm Pamela Jordan. I work at the Office of Minority and Women's Business Enterprises. I've been here about 8.5 years, certification analyst, and I do outreach and some other things as needed. So today, let me share my screen. There we go. Next, I think. Okay, so today I'm just going to talk about certification. So 101, just kind of a high overview of certification, what our office offers. So we'll go over our mission, what the certification types are, why get certified, what are the benefits, some of the eligibility requirements, and then a little bit about the certified firm directory after the firm's certified. So just a little bit about us. Oh, did I hear? Okay.
We're unable to see your screen quite yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I shared it. Let's see. Oh, then I have to hit share. Whoops. Okay. Now is it okay? You can see it now?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so about a little bit about us. We've been around since 1983. And you can see here that we help businesses get certified that are owned by minorities, women, and other underrepresented communities to try to help them gain access to bid opportunities to work in state government. Our purpose at OMWBE is to be a vital and trusted resource for businesses that are owned by minorities, women, and other underrepresented communities. And we help to promote equity and how Washington State spends its resources, trying to help eliminate barriers for the small firms that are owned by minorities and women. And then our mission is to create and implement programs that provide maximum opportunity for participation of businesses owned by minorities, women, and other underrepresented communities in public contracting. And then here is our kind of our 4 lines of business or pillars that we have. The first one there is certification. So that's certifying small businesses that are owned and ran by minorities or women. This is about how many we have. That might be about a month old. We probably get about 45 a month that we certify each month, new files, new firm. Then we also have supplier diversity. Right now, we're working with all the state agencies and the higher educational institutes to show them how they're going to start reporting to OMWBE each year, their diversity spend. And then we're going to put together a report and we send that off to the governor's office. So we're working on getting all the agencies educated on how to do that and setting up that process. We also have linked deposit loan program. That's a program for state certified firms, not federal, but just state certified firms. And that we have, I think, about 11 participating banks right now So the way that works is once the firm's certified and they go onto our online directory, if you want to go through a commercial loan process with one of the participating banks, you can. And then if you're approved, you can get up to a 2% reduction in your interest rate for being a state certified firm. So the funds that are currently available in there are about 175 million. So there's a lot of money there that we're hoping we're going to start doing some more marketing around that to get more of the word out about that. And then we also have the governor's subcabinet on business diversity, and that's kind of that long-term sustainable goal of utilizing our small businesses that are owned by minorities and women. And then what is certification? It's certifying small businesses that are owned and controlled by minorities, women, and other disadvantaged individuals. And then we have two types of certifications. We have a federal certification you see here in blue and a state certification. So we're a state agency. We are the sole certifying agency for Washington State. So other counties and cities perhaps will have their own certification process, but we are the state agency that can certify both state and federal here in Washington State. So we have federal certification. You can see there's the DBE, the ACDBE, that's for businesses that want to work with airport concessioners. And then we also have the small business enterprise. That federal certification is a race and gender neutral certification. So if you qualify under the criteria for certification, but perhaps you're not in one of those presumptive groups, you know, African American or Asian Pacific, Hawaiian, there's a list. If you don't fall under the presumptive group, then you have the small business enterprise that folks like to take advantage of if they don't fall in the other categories. And then state certification, you can see the list here: minority business enterprise, minority woman, business enterprise, women. We also have a CBE, combined business enterprise. That one is for a firm that's owned 50% by a minority male and 50% by a non-minority woman or Caucasian woman. And then we have the socially and economically disadvantaged business enterprise. That's a certification, state certification, again, for folks that don't fall under presumptive groups. We have this other certification that requires a little bit more of gathering of information. So if you're not a minority or a woman or minority woman, you could perhaps be able to apply for EDBE, but there's an additional kind of process that we go through for that. If you want to know more about that, just let me know. So why get certified? So one reason is then you're identified into our public online directory, and then local governments, state agencies, school districts can go look at this directory that's open to the public, see if you're actually a certified firm, what you're certified in, meaning what type of work are you certified in to do, like electrical or consulting. There's also federally funded transportation projects on that DBE, the federal side, that disadvantaged business enterprise. They have mandatory goals for utilizing certified firms through our office, the OMWBE, our certification. And then I think I said state agencies and colleges also have supplier diversity goals. And as I stated previously, they're going to be required to report to OMWBE once a year what their supplier spend is. Potential roadblocks they may have or barriers, and then the next step then is to work towards building that up to reduce those barriers. And then some private companies also like to utilize our small firms, as they know that the vetting process can be fairly rigorous, and that if it's on our online directory, then they know for a fact that the firm is a small business and it's ran by a minority or a woman. And then here's some of the eligibility criteria, which is the same for both state and federal. Be for profit, your gross receipts, you want to have them under 26.29 million. That's over a 3-year average. I know that sounds like a lot of money, so there's a lot of room to grow, is what I tell folks. And then you do need to be licensed in Washington State to do business. So you have to be properly licensed here. The owner of the business needs to be at least 51% owner, and they need to be a minority or a woman or someone under that other underrepresented group, perhaps a vet or disabled, could be another underrepresented community or person, excuse me. You have to show an investment or capital into your firm, meaning have you as the individual that owns the company, have you put monies in to get your business started, whether it's licensing, marketing, whatever the case may be. There's no minimum or maximum there. The owner of the business also needs to have the knowledge and experience in the type of work that you're seeking certification in. Meaning, if you're an electrical engineer and you want to get certified in baking, that's probably not going to work because you don't have any experience in baking. You have it in electrical engineering. I know it's an extreme example, but you can't just have someone come in and say, oh, I own this business. I don't know how to run it, but I own it, so certify me. So it doesn't really work that way. And then you do have to have both a legal control over your firm, meaning you're properly licensed, showing that you're the owner. And control is a kind of a wide, broad range, but kind of gets back to you have to have the knowledge, experience, or expertise, and or licensing. Sometimes there's licensing required. Like if you're a dentist, you have to have a dental license. You have to be a dentist to own a dental practice. And then independently performing the services, meaning you're not dependent upon an individual or another firm to keep you kind of up and running, whether that means knowledge and experience or a financial investment in the company. And then the owners must be economically disadvantaged. So we've got that social part, which is minority woman, right? And then the economic piece is that individual needs to have a personal net worth. So their own personal net worth is under 1.32 million. And that does not include your primary residence or any of the assets or liabilities in the firm that's seeking certification. So there's a form that you complete that's part of that process. And then how do you start your application? So August of 2017, we do everything online now. You do your application online, you give us all the support documents online, you pay online. So we really have tried to streamline that process for folks. And that shows you how to do that there. And then some of the types of documents, there's quite a long list of documents. Anyone that's gone through the process knows that, but there's typically an affidavit of certification. One, the state doesn't get notarized, but the federal one does. We ask for 3 years of personal taxes. That's going to help establish that you are indeed economically disadvantaged, your net worth under 1.32 million. 3 years of business taxes. So if you're not in business for 3 years, then you're just going to provide us with whatever, however many years you have, if it's 1 year or 2 year. But we usually ask for 3. Obviously, if you're not in business for 3, you can't do that. But and then the personal net worth statement I spoke about. Any business formation or operating documents, your articles of incorporation, bylaws, operating agreement, and then resumes. We collect the resume from all the owners, whether they're eligible or not. That's part of the looking through it to make sure the individual owns and controls the business. Proof of initial investment, we went over that a little bit, capital monies that you've invested into the company, list of equipment, which totally depends upon the type of firm it is. And then the application process is a little bit different for each. The state certification, there's not an RCW that mandates 60 days. That's our internal process where we try to complete the application within 60 days if we can. And then for federal certification, the CFR says we have up to 90 days to complete it. That takes a little bit longer because we have a on-site visit where we used to, before COVID, go physically out to your home office or your office where you keep your legal documents, typically come out and do an on-site where we just go over the information provided and put together kind of a nice report that WashDOT likes to use when they're looking for firms to utilize. They'll come and ask to look at our on-site report. So it kind of gives a nice overview, whole snap kind of picture of the firm. And then once you're certified, both state or federal or both, then you end up on our online directory. It's on our main website. And if you're listed on that website, then you are legitimately certified through OMWBE. I say that because I have had some folks say, well, aren't they decertified? No, if they're on our certified list, they're a certified firm. So a lot of the work I do takes a lot of discretionary analysis, but this is one area of certification that's black and white. If you're on the directory, you're a certified firm, period, end of story. And it does have, we have actually added that disclaimer. I also say that too, because we don't give out like a certificate when you're certified to kind of show that you're certified. You do get an original letter. You get a letter saying you're certified. But for proof of certification, I encourage folks to download their profile from our online directory, and it's dated, which is really nice. And then you can just email that off to the contractor, whoever's asking. And I know it was a lot of information really quick. Do you have any questions for me?
Okay, well, we'll open it up for questions, but while we're waiting for people to kind of get acclimated to everything that you said, I do have a couple questions.
Okay.
So if I have a business in Idaho, which is like right across the border, or maybe Oregon,
Mhm.
and I register with the Secretary of State as a foreign corporation, and I am registered with the Department of Revenue, do I qualify as a Washington State licensed business?
If your primary location's in Idaho
Yeah.
and you're licensed here, yes, you could apply for certification. You would apply for state certification.
Right.
Federal certification is a little bit different, but yeah, for state purposes, yes.
Okay, good to know. So my second question actually comes from past experience with one of my clients. And this lady inherited, I don't know if it was her father's business, after he passed away. Anyway, it was a manufacturing firm. And in the manufacturing firm, she had been around the business, her whole life, and knew kind of the ins and outs of everything from production to shipping and receiving, marketing and sales. And her husband worked for the company. And so, and their primary service or product was welding, but she did not know how to weld. So what's your take on her getting certification if she met all other criteria?
That's a really, really good question. I actually had, I don't know what firm you're referring to, if you have one in mind, but I actually have certified firm with almost that exact scenario. So in those types of scenarios, a lot of it depends on the facts, right? So the facts are always different depending on which firm you're looking at. So for your example, she inherited the business from her father. So I'm assuming her father owned the company. That's how come she could inherit it, right? And then you said the husband was currently working there as well. So unless he's an eligible individual, then we're going to look at that really closely, not only to see does she actually have ownership, looking at those documents. And if she does, then the second piece then is, does she control it? And control has probably over 2 pages of CFRs that you look at to determine whether someone has control or not. Ownership and control are very closely aligned, but the one that I had, the husband was the welder and she was not the welder. She had a lot of experience in the company. I think she had worked there for 15 years or something like that. And she was seeking federal certification. So what you have to do is, if the transfer's been within the last 2 years, I'm not sure if you're familiar with like ponderance of evidence. And then the next criteria legally is clear and convincing. So anytime there's a transfer of assets within 2 years of them seeking certification, and an ineligible individual was, they gave the ineligible individual inherited or gave it to their daughter, let's say, that's now eligible, you have to look at that really, really, really closely. and it requires a lot of analysis and looking at a wide range of things. The CFR says the eligible individual does not have to have all the knowledge and expertise. They have to have enough, right?
Mhm.
Enough knowledge, skill, and ability to be able to at least oversee it. The law does not say that they actually have to be a welder. So that requires a lot of analysis looking at that. And I always encourage people to say, well, so-and-so, they shouldn't be certified. You just don't know all the facts in the file when folks say that, because we have to look at everything as a whole and apply that law as consistently as possible, is I guess what I try to say with that.
Well, you really helped clear that up. One of the ongoing issues in a community property state
Mhm.
and small business ownership, is the spouse.
Mhm.
And the whole control issue and
Mhm.
day-to-day management and signing the checks and
Yep.
if one of the two are the management and administration, and one of them is production, sales, or marketing, it really adds to the complexity of the determination.
And it really, that's a lot of times what we're dealing with, because they're small businesses, right? So my office is in the business of certifying small businesses. A lot of small businesses are ran by couples, partners. So yeah, we have to look at that very closely quite often. And being a community property state, they're legally married, then it's 50% owned by each. So how do you get to that 51% ownership? We get that question a lot, being one of 9 community property states left. So they basically, the ineligible person has to relinquish their capital. If there was community funds used to start the business, then the ineligible person, spouse, partner has to relinquish their capital interest in it. And that by signing a form that we have. And that's how we get from 50-50 to 100% ownership of the eligible individual.
Okay, so
clear as mud, I'm sure.
Okay, so anybody else have any questions? If not, I have another question, but I'll leave it for just right now. Okay, I don't see any hands up, so this will be my final question. Let's say a small business owner is interested in getting certified, and this individual is a college professor and teaches night classes, and her company is during the day, but her primary source of income right now is as a teacher, and she's just getting her company up and running. So what kind of advice can you give this individual to make sure that they get their certification on the number of hours, traditional hours worked, et cetera, et cetera?
And so they were a teacher by day and then trying to get their small business started on nights and weekends.
Well,
is that correct?
Yeah, or flip it the other way. If they only teach adjunct, or
And they're
and they're just adjunct, during the day, and they're trying to get their company off and running in the evening. And the one thing that I know that you look at is traditional industry hours
and practice. Yes.
Yeah. Can you talk about that just a little bit?
Sure. So from small business owners, again, there's a lot of times a partnership, and also we wouldn't expect you to just quit your job and drop everything to start your small business, right? Sometimes it can take years to ramp something up. So what we look at is the WAC and the CFR for federal. they look at, do you have enough capacity or time, or sometimes money, depending on what it is, I'm trying to think what the actual language of the law is. It escapes me at the moment, but basically just saying, is it normal industry practice? So if you're trying to get a small business going, it makes sense that you're going to still have income. So as long as you can show that you have enough time, that enough, again, to start a business. A lot of people, especially these days, do things on nights and weekends. It's very acceptable. It's normal. We wouldn't expect someone, like I said, to quit their job and to start a firm. For example, let's say you have a gal working at the city of Kirkland, and she's an engineer, and she wants to start her own business, being a civil engineer. Let's say she's a civil engineer. I wouldn't expect her to quit her job at the city to start her business, but what I would expect is that she's going to have some sort of a non-compete with the city work, the work that she does. She's going to have something established with that primary job that's not going to, commingle, I guess you could say, where she's utilizing her work with the city to get state dollars for her small business, sort of like. So usually like I said, there's usually something in place that says non-compete, or they have to do something for a year before they can finish a project, and then they can go full-time on their business. Something like that usually is in place for, let's say, for that scenario.
So excellent answer. And I see that Christina has one question for you, and she wants to know if you do both state and federal certifications.
Yes, we do. The state and federal certifications are very similar. There's a few small differences between state and federal, but we do both. So, for example, if you apply for federal certification, then you can add state certification with it, and then you're only basically applying one time. Applying meaning going through the application process, supplying all the documents, and then you can get both the state and the federal certification at the same time, or you can get one or the other. It really depends on the type of work you're doing, the type of work that you're seeking, and whom you want to do work with, whether it's WashDOT because for transit work, highway, road, street, bridge, or state if you want to do something goods and services. So it just really depends on the type of business you have, whether you want state, federal, or both.
So thank you, Pamela. And just a little addendum to what she was just saying. OMWBE does not do veteran certification at either state or federal. And they do not do hub zone certification, which is only federal. And they do not do 8A certification, which is federal. And what else? The federal woman-owned small business, economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business, that has to go through the Small Business Administration. And all the paperwork that you do at the state level, you have to reinvent the wheel if you want woman-owned certification at the federal level. So, and because they don't transfer information or certification back and forth.
And part of that really, Leslie, is because the law is different, and also the criteria for like an 8A program is completely different than what we ask for our certification. There's a few overlaps, but for the most part, you have to be in business 3 years. You have to show financial. There's a lot of stuff you have to provide for 8A, where our program, you don't have to be, you just have to be open for business, basically, for profit, open for business, have your license. There's no requirement on gross receipts or year. You have to be, in business. You can be brand new, a month old, and apply for certification.
Well, perfect. Okay. Well, Pamela, thank you again so much for
you're welcome.
Showing up today. And we have all your information in our digital Dropbox, and we have your contact information. So I look forward to our participants connecting with you and moving through this process.
Right.
And the reality is none of these certification processes are simple and easy. Well, except for maybe the veteran one at the state level, but everything else takes a little heavy lifting on the participant side. But OMWBE has some really incredible resources that will get you through that. So thanks again, Pamela. And
You're welcome.
we'll see you next time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. I see that our next presenter is here. We have today Mr. Ian Hogan, and he is with Centennial Contractors Enterprises Incorporated. And he was recommended to us from the Port of Seattle. And their current status with the port is in regards to job order costing contracts. And so I'm going to turn it over to Ian and let him give you an update on what projects they're working on and what they're looking for in small businesses and how you can connect. So welcome, Ian, and we'll get you up here on the big screen.
There you go. I was talking to myself over here. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a computer difficulty, so I had to connect on my phone. So hopefully it's not too much of an issue here, but I can figure it out. So like was brought up, I am a project manager for Centennial Contractors. We're a nationwide general contractor that focuses on job order contracting, which is essentially multi-year contracts for smaller public works projects, anywhere from around $25,000 up to $500,000 in the state of Washington. So it ends up being a really great opportunity for small businesses to get involved in doing public works projects. So as mentioned, yeah, we have contracts with the Port of Seattle, City of Bellevue, the University of Washington. We have publics with the state Department of Enterprise Services, which is working directly for the state of Washington. We have contracts with the city of Shoreline. Just kind of a little bit of background is we've been in Washington State for the last 19 years, and we've been working nationwide since 1991. We're the largest company in the country doing this kind of job order contracting work. Started really with the Department of Defense doing their stuff, but it's really spread into municipalities and states. So that's just a little bit of background on us. I personally run the noise remediation program for the Port of Seattle. So what we're working on is single family residential homes that is paid for through the port, upgrading windows and doors, electrical and HVAC systems in these residential homes to insulate them from the sound pollution of planes at the airport. So there's hundreds of homes. They're also doing condominiums and apartment buildings. But yeah, we tend to work with small OMWBE or DBE businesses, which is also a requirement of our contract that we have a certain percentage of OMWBE participation in the work that we do. So in the contracts I manage, like I said, it's a multi-year contract with a certain limit over 3 years. But the value of these contracts over a 3-year period could be up to $48 million in public works project. And that's broken down, like I said, into between $25,000 and $500,000 per project. So we end up getting into very manageable work packages for small businesses. So I'm going backwards in my presentation here, sorry. So since it is public works, we do obviously require certified payrolls. Everyone has to be in good standing with labor and industries. Each of our clients will require specific documentation when it comes to certificates of insurance, UBI numbers, all of your, workman's comp, everything needs to be up to date. Obviously, we have a huge emphasis on safety, but we go through the process with these smaller businesses and try to, build them up as we go along. Some of our subcontractor partners, have started out as these small businesses that we were working with in the area, and over years we've done a lot of business with them, and a few of them have actually grown to become our competitors in the jock arena, which for us it's a great thing, because we're only as successful as our partners. So that's really what drives our business, is making sure that the companies that we're working with are successful, and that's what makes the projects go well and makes the public agencies happy with everything that we do. So we kind of have an onboarding process where we're gathering all the information about your company, filling out some qualification forms where we can understand what your capabilities are, where you're located, what kind of certifications you may or may not have, just kind of the organization of the business, best point of contacts, and kind of the structure. And like I said, we get those certificates of insurance depending on the individual client in terms of how what's the requirement from the contracting method. So like I said, we're working on the noise remediation projects. That's a great place for us to do our OMWBE and small business participation for the Department of Enterprise Services. We've been doing a lot of just like classroom renovations up at North Seattle College, out at I know we're looking right now at Peninsula College, at some small tenant improvement projects out there, but it really ranges all over the state. For the University of Washington, we're working down at the University of Washington Tacoma, doing doors for a parking garage. So the projects tend to be fairly simple and small, and that's kind of our focus. And like I said, I think it's a great opportunity for small businesses to get involved, and that's who we certainly try to partner with as much as we possibly can. Yeah, and happy to reach out with anyone and send our subcontractor qualification form so we can get a little bit more information and bring you guys on board and see if we can't work together to do some of these public works projects. Sorry, I was talking really fast, and like I said, my computer, so I don't have my presentation, but you just had to stare at my mug the whole time.
So thank you, Ian. I do have a question for you.
Sure.
When you're working on a project, like say on the peninsula, how do you incorporate your subcontractors on remote areas like that? Do you look remotely for small businesses in that area, or do you bring them in like from the mainland over there to the peninsula?
I would say it's a little bit of both. We use a couple of services. One is called Building Connected, which is an online platform that has a very large subcontractor database, or all different types of businesses database that you can geographically locate. So like say we had a job out on the peninsula, we could say, okay, we want someone within 50 miles of the job site, so that we know that they're on site. If there's something very specific that we know someone that we have a relationship in the past with is going to be a good fit for, maybe we would bring them in, but typically we're going to be trying to source companies in that area. The other thing we use is the Blue Book, which is another online resource where companies can get listed. And again, that has a geographical component to it, so that we're working with companies that are in that local database. Because, you know, we're here in Seattle, you know, typically the people that we're working with in downtown Seattle aren't going to want to go all the way to the peninsula, and vice versa. People from the peninsula wouldn't necessarily want to come all the way to downtown Seattle.
So does that mean that on Building Connected that it includes all aspects of construction, everything from excavating, landscaping, framers, roofers, painters, electricians, plumbers, all of those things in there?
Exactly. So what we would do is say, you know, Peninsula College came to us with a set of plans. So we would look at those, break it down into individual, you know, smaller packages, like you said, electrical, plumbing, painting, you know, carpentry. And so we would break it into those packages, and then we could reach out to just those specific trades on Building Connected and say, hey, you know, we have this, you know, certain amount of electrical work that we have to do, and send it out to all the contractors in that area and ask them all to take a look at it and provide bids for it. And we can vet all those companies and figure out who's going to be the best fit. But yes, it would be extremely broken down to the nth degree in terms of those work packages.
So do you partner with the associations and organizations like the North Peninsula Builders Association or Associated Builders and Contractors? Do you work with them also?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we're a member of both ABC and AGC, and we're members of a lot of different groups. I know my coworker who works with me on pretty much all my projects, she's a member of the Women in Construction group here in Washington, or the Association of Women and Minority Contractors. So, you know, we're always trying to reach out to whatever organizations we can be a part of to grow that subcontractor base and build those relationships. Because like I said, our success only goes as far as our subcontractor partners.
So with that being said, this is like your lucky day that you can be here, you know, by reference of Port of Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And in your audience, we have Washington PTAC, which is all about contracting and small businesses. And you have the US DOT, the Northwest Small Business Transportation Resource Center. And, you know, so, you know, the reality is it's all about who you know and who can get the word out for you, and also to be a vessel for the small businesses to tap into us. And because, you know, I may have a small, you know, electrical company on the peninsula that maybe wasn't aware of this, or, you know, he's a recent military veteran just starting his own business and, you know, just trying to get the resources. So this really is such a wealth of information and, you know, connectivity that we can give for our small businesses and you and vice versa. So that's pretty incredible. Thank you.
Exactly. I mean, and that's honestly what, you know, what we're looking for out of this is to build those new partnerships and grow our base. And, you know, the more resources we can bring to bear, obviously the better product is going to be for for the taxpayer, for the entities that we're dealing with. And I know that it is a major goal of all of the entities that I work for to expand that base and expand the participation of small businesses in the public works process. So it's a huge goal of ours. It's a huge goal of our clients. So anything that we can do to be a resource and for us to connect with those types of companies is what we are striving to do for sure.
Well, thank you so much, Ian. And actually, I'm going to pop in your contact information into the chat. So now they have your email address. And so just hopefully they'll, help get the word out, or they might, connect with you directly. And actually, if I could ask you, if you have an existing presentation, kind of a PowerPoint or something that we
Yes.
can upload. And then also what we do is we convert your presentation into a plain text document for the visually impaired. So if you can get me your PowerPoint or PDF or whatever it is that you have with some of the things that you covered today, then we will go ahead and get that uploaded into our digital drop for our participants.
Perfect. I'll send it right over to you. Yeah, that's no problem.
Thank you. So with that, I'm going to open it up, and I see that Mickey has his hand up. And so Mickey, I see that you are actually unmuted. So go ahead and talk to Ian.
Good afternoon, Ian. Mickey Ross with Ross Company Engineering Services, LLC. For the component of your organization that does the cost estimation, do you use the Department of Labor rates as the foundational basis by which we add our loaded rate and go into negotiation over what that is with you typically, so that it's somewhat of a set pattern as to when you get work that we come in and we talk about how we are going to fare with your company concerning the work, or what is the process in that?
Sure. So the structure of the contract is that these are competitively bid, like I said, every years, and we bid off of what's called RS means. So it's a task price catalog. It's the book, yay thick with 100,000 different line items in it. And so we would build a project off the line items in RS means, saying, okay, we're going to have, X number of square footage of drywall, so much paint, it's all just quantities and those line items that we base our pricing off of. And then there's a multiplier that we bid competitively every 3 years with other firms. And that is how it is a competitive bid to the public. And it's an indefinite quantity, indefinite duration contract. So essentially, they could give us as many projects as they want or as few. There's no guaranteed minimum or anything like that. It's all about building that relationship with the client and keeping things going. But that's how we build all of our cost estimates from a subcontractor perspective or an engineering company perspective. Sometimes we do have some design elements that we're responsible for. We essentially would competitively bid that out to multiple subcontractors to see what's the best value in terms of a proposal, and then factor that into the price that we give to the owner. But we wouldn't require any of our subcontractors or anyone that's working with us to use RS means, but that's just the mechanism that we have to bid this work to the different public agencies. Does that answer your question? Sorry.
It does. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, concerns, comments? All of the above? Or none of the above? Okay. Well, I just want to thank Ian for coming today as a capstone on our networking day. And we appreciate his time, and we look forward to getting his presentation, maybe with some other contact information or numbers or whatever else you might need in it. And so thank you, Ian. We appreciate everything that Centennial is doing. And I think you and I will need to have a conversation down the road about what's going on the peninsula.
Sure.
So I'll keep you as my contact. So thank you so much, and look forward to working with you again down the road.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. So this brings us to the last chapter of our networking event. And so we have here Tina Boyd, who is with the Port of Seattle, who would like to make some closing comments. So Tina, if you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. I hope everybody can see me. I was having some technical issues here, but I want to thank some following people, and I know Mian did it at the beginning, but I do want to give another thank you to Leslie, especially Leslie, for facilitating. She's done a wonderful job. Andrew, too. I know you've been in the background, but thank you again for all your help. And Lily, STRBC. That's a long acronym, you guys. Aisha, thank you. Tamika, my former coworker, and again, all the speakers today, Maggie, Ian, you guys, OMWBE, you all been wonderful. And to all you attendees and students, thank you for hanging in with us. I know we were a small class, but I'm happy to announce we've had hundreds of hits to these workshops videos. So you will have those available to you still. I'm going to remind you all to give me a little couple sentences. If you rather call me, that's fine too. I know you guys met a lady named Farless in the goods and service area, but if you would like some more contacts as far as the buyers, I can give you some more information. So you have to pick up the phone and talk to me. So if you have Ian, I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. He did say all the right things as far as Centennial, and that's expanding the opportunities. He said the right things, and that's what we're all about here at the Port of Seattle. So if any of you if you have any additional questions now, I can take those. If you want to just call me, but we want you to keep in touch, and that's key. So I can take questions now if anybody has them. You're a quiet group, except for Mickey.
They are very quiet.
I know. I think I make them shy.
Yeah.
So I expect to hear from you, all of you, and feel free to pick up the phone. And that's fine too. Or if you'd like to set up a meeting one-on-one with me, I'm open to that also. So with that, I'm giving you back some time, and I'll turn it back over to Leslie. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Tina. With your permission, I will go ahead and post your contact information in the chat.
Yes.
So, yeah, now they have your phone number and email address, and
yep, and they can contact me for an email for a meeting one-on-one. I'm fine with that.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Well, so this closes our event. It's the end of our 7-week session. 2 tracks, 14 days worth of classes. We have all of these videos that will be available, and all of our participants will get a follow-up from us with the list of resources and the links to all the pertinent information. We just wanted to thank everyone for attending and participating and asking good questions for all of our presenters. Overall, let me pull my cheat sheet here. We had 48 different presenters over the last 14 sessions. So, well, some of that includes our administrative team with Aisha and Andrew and Lily and me and Marnie, my colleague Marnie from Washington PTAC. And we couldn't do this without Tina Boyd and without Mian's oversight and direction on this. So again, we just want to thank everyone again, and we'll be in touch with you. We've got all your emails. Some of you we actually have phone numbers for. So, and if you need to connect with us, let me put my information in there. So you have me. And so, we are here to give you a hand in, anytime. Okay, so let me get my phone number in here. And my email, which is pretty easy, it's olympic@washingtonptac.org. And as a Washington PTAC counselor, my dedicated area is the Olympic Peninsula, but we have PTACs across the state. So if you're not, in the immediate area, we can forward your requests on to one of our colleagues, and we work as a team. So what I may not know, we'll have a resource that might be able to fill you in. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Aisha from the Small Business Transportation Resource Center. So Aisha, if you have a few closing words.
Yeah, thank you so much, Leslie. And again, I would love to piggyback on what you said. Wanted to give thanks to the Port of Seattle, to PTAC, and especially to all of our small businesses that hopped on and stayed with us through these sessions. I'm definitely looking forward to working with you all and to answering your questions and connecting you. And I know that Leslie is as well. So please stay in touch, and I look forward to hearing from you all.
Okay, so with that, we'll tell you all good luck and goodbye, and hopefully we'll see you at our next event. So thank you so much.